Okay, guys, last quarter, we definitely didn't hit our revenue target. We were short by a lot, and we need to make it up this quarter plus 30%. The target is 4.2 million, and we did 3.1 million, so we have a gap of 1.1 million. And to get there, we need more calls, more conversations, and more pipeline created. Guys, this isn't rocket science. So we increase call volume, improve conversion, tighten the messaging, expand follow-up, and review the numbers every week.
Who owns the extra volume?
Well, our sales team, obviously. Sales is me, guys.
And sometimes me, when I'm not handling marketing, inbound, and everything else.
We just need to be more efficient.
That sentence has never once reduced my workload.
That's the plan.
I can prospect, I can research, I can clean lists, I can write emails, I can make calls, I can follow up, I can update the CRM. I cannot do all of that at scale at the same time.
The goal isn't the problem, the math is. And we are not solving that math by adding 3 more salespeople.
Please. One more?
No.
This isn't working. Okay, then we need a completely different way to run outward sales.
Mobile. Okay, gotcha. Welcome to this live event. There's going to be lots of things to talk about, but I want to give you guys sort of an overview of how things are going to go, and then we're going to just jump right into it. But for those who are in the room, thank you for joining. I appreciate every one of you actually showing up for this live, wondering what this is about and what is our mission, what's our goal, and why you're here. So I'm going to give you a reason about sales. We're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that I'm seeing with sales. We're going to talk about some of the solutions that we have to address this problem. And then we're going to talk about the future on how we see sales going forward. So there's going to be lots to cover, and we're just going to jump right into it. Okay, so with that, let's just get right into it. So first of all, let's talk about who I am and what I'm about, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so first of all, if you don't know me and you have never seen me before, my name is Dwayne. I'm the founder of SnapSuite. SnapSuite is a construction software company. We help all types of contractors, HVAC, plumbers, electrical type company. We focus on helping them with project management, with billing, with purchase orders, work orders, scheduling, the whole 9 yards. So if you're in the HVAC space, or you're in the plumbing space, or you're in the property management space where you're managing multiple properties, you have to do lots of maintenance, etc. That's basically what we're focusing on. Okay, so that's been me. I've been around for about 20 years or so. This software has been around for about 15, at least, 15 years now. And it's a whirlwind of tons of features and lots of learnings from tons of different HVAC plumbers, electrical companies, and we just it's an all-in-one system. So here's what's crazy. That entire intro that you saw was AI. The entire intro and every single thing that you saw on that video was 100% AI. And what's crazy about it is the fact that these characters that was developed, these characters were 100% developed by me. Okay, literally, I just prompted. I was like, you know what? I got a story that I want to tell. I want to put it into ChatGPT, come up with a bunch of characters, and make a script out of it. And that's such an interesting point of view, because if you think of it for a second, first of all, I'm a software developer. I know a thing or two about computers. I don't know how to do video production type stuff other than doing some hobby stuff. But the fact that I was able to even prompt a computer to create that script that you guys saw, hopefully you saw it at the start of the video and there was not too many technical problems there. But in either case, the fact that I was able to create an entire script with something that would have taken an entire company or a casting crew and maybe a month, I don't know, maybe a month's worth of work, has literally been sort of simplified to the point of literally one weekend. Okay, it took me about a weekend, a little bit more than that, to kind of feel, get things kind of dialed in or whatever. But the point is that that's possible in today's world. Okay, now I'm not here to talk to you about video production. I just want to be clear with that. I'm just highlighting the fact of what's possible with AI today. Like not tomorrow, not next week, today. And maybe you looked at that video. Again, hopefully you saw it, but maybe you looked at that video and you thought to yourself, it wasn't necessarily too good, right? Maybe there were some problems with it. You could tell that it's AI, right? We all could tell sort of the fake AI kind of stuff. The crazy thing about that is that that video that you just saw literally is the worst that it will be with AI. Okay? Like, after today, things get significantly better. Every single moment, it's just moving so fast right now that we literally can't keep up with it. Okay? So I'm giving you that background to say that we are living in a really, really interesting time. Like, we're truly living in just an era where the level of innovation, the level of just things that are happening at scale is just phenomenal, right? So the real question that I have for you and for all the people that are on this call right now is, since the video was made with AI, the real question is, how can we use that same leverage, right? Like, one person, me, generated a video that would have taken an entire production team. The question for you and the business owners and all the people that are on this live right now is, can you get that same leverage that I just did with AI and turn it in with sales, right? Why can't we do the exact same thing with sales as we, in other words, 10x your effort on a sales call, right? That's the question that I want to dig into today, showing you a bunch of stuff around the capabilities with AI, how it's working today, why it's working, why today is the best day to start incorporating AI into your business, and what the future looks like. So there's a lot of stuff to cover. Hopefully you've gotten some sort of interest in this topic. You wouldn't be here if you weren't interested in it. And so now the real goal now is for me to essentially prove to you that AI is valuable and that we have something to answer this question. Okay, so now here's the problem. I've been doing sales for a really long time, and this is now my third company. SnapSuite is my third company, and I've struggled a lot with one very specific question, which was, in order for me to close a deal, right, I got to put the lead into my CRM system. I'm using obviously email and the phone system, and in today's world, you're using ChatGPT. You're using ChatGPT, maybe you're writing your email and copying it into ChatGPT and then pasting it back to say improve it, right? We've all done this. I'm definitely guilty of that, right? So we're using a lot of tools. And we're basically, at this particular point, we're at a stage where we're really just overwhelmed with tools. And at least, I don't know about you guys, but I'm for sure overwhelmed with tools. I'll give you a little bit of backstory to kind of highlight this point. When we were just started out with our sales effort with SnapSuite, like, I had an assistant that was doing data entry to basically find leads online. Then we had another person that was doing sort of the cleaning and trying to orchestrate the data, etc. Import it into the CRM. Then we got to make sure we figure out like who's the right person that we have to call. Like, there's all this extra stuff that has to be done just to kind of move the needle forward when it comes to doing sales. And if you're a salesperson, you just understand this problem. You probably don't even think it's a problem, but it just becomes sort of like the standard that we just have to use all these different tools. Fast forward, being a software developer, I've always kind of asked myself the question, like, why is it that we just, like, why do I have 100 different spreadsheets spreading around and I can't necessarily find the things that I want, the lead that I want? I'm missing leads, I'm missing data, right? Like, it's just a lot of stuff that you have to really, really be thinking about every single time. So this image, I really like this image. I put out an article about it just a couple of days ago, highlighting the fact that we're living in what I call death by 1,000 tabs, okay? This is a real problem. I've seen people with 20 and 30 tabs just open up at all times. You can't even see like the label of what tab it is. You're just seeing like little small icons, and even those are cut off. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, like, we're in an era where it's just overload of information, and so the modern salesperson is just jumping through hoops, right? We got to jump into a prospecting tool to find the leads that we want. We got to go into another tool that's going to help us to aggregate and clean the list, right? It's overload. Then we're jumping into Slack, and then we're jumping into our calendar, then we're jumping into Zoom. So it's like, why? Why? Because at the end of the day, the only single thing that you really want to do is just to communicate with another person and be a human being, right? At this particular point, you can't do it because you're overwhelmed by the amount of just process. So the point is this, okay? small sales team in today's world are really, really struggling with this expectation of providing enterprise level value without the enterprise level headcounts, right? But the challenge here is that if you're a small business, you really have a problem just trying to keep up with some of the enterprise level processes out there, right? At an enterprise scale, they have the headcount and they have the numbers that they could basically just throw resources at the problem. But if you're a smaller company, you're doing the AE job, account executive job, and you're doing the SDR job, right? It's just merged into one. And this is just sort of the pattern that has existed time and time again. And so because of this expectation that we have to basically do more with less, we have a broken system. All right. And I hope you're getting the point that I'm trying to make here is that sales has been broken for a really long time. And we've been trying to solve it. And how have we been trying to solve it? Well, let's just build more tools. Let's just add more sales tool to the process to kind of get us moving. And that's been just the thing that you do all along, right? The expectation change, but that was about it. Okay. So this is a fundamental problem. And so what's happened over the last few years is fast forward, we've kind of moved from this manual, let's call it, Excel whiteboard spreadsheet to tabs, right? 100 different tabs open to now we're jumping into the AI era and we're seeing another problem that's kind of really taken off. And this is a problem that really frustrates me at its core. Okay. What is that? It's what the term exists. I didn't coin the term AI slop. Okay. We've all seen these messages before on LinkedIn coming into our inbox where somebody sends you a message and you read it and it's like literally, it's like a robot wrote the message. Why? There's no human connection. There's no human interaction. And I fundamentally believe, this is my personal belief here, but I actually believe that the reason why you're seeing this influx of, or sort of like, let's call it a flood of AI slop, is because of this pressure that's happening by sales teams or sales managers, right? They're putting pressure on the salespeople to got to get more leads, got to get more pipelines, right? Just in the video, as you saw, you got the CEO that's sort of barking down on the team members. Guys, we got to get more leads. We got to get more pipelines. We got to increase our revenue numbers. And so what are the salespeople doing? Well, they're trying out these AI tools. The problem is that the AI tools, most of them, 90% of them are terrible, just terrible. Okay. So, and I want to be clear with this conversation. I'm not here to tell you that AI is not the answer. In fact, I'm doing the opposite. I'm telling you that AI is the answer. But what I'm telling you is that the implementation that we have with AI right now is making things worse. It really is for a lot of people. And frankly, it's kind of given AI a bad rap, right? Like it's kind of a tug of war here that's happening because on one hand, we can see the value of AI. On the other hand, we're also seeing the AI slop that's coming out. We're seeing the videos, we're seeing the messages, right? So fun fact for you here, okay? I have on my LinkedIn right this minute, after the live, go look at my LinkedIn and you will see there's a gear right here, okay? There's a gear in front of my name. And that gear is not by accident, okay? It's deliberate. Why is it deliberate? Because that gear indicates that if you're a human being, you will look at the name, all right, that is there, and you will see, oh, his name has a gear of an emoji, and it says Dwayne. So I'm obviously not going to write the gear Dwayne, right? I'm just going to say, hey, Dwayne, because that's my name, right? Like a human can tell that immediately. The AI slop is so bad that they won't even detect that that is an emoji in front of the name. And I get these emails all day long. And this is how I know that you're an AI bot. Okay. So your message might actually be relevant to me in some shape or form. Maybe 90% of the messages are just garbage. But the fact that whatever system it is that you're using in the background can't actually detect that there's a gear in the name and I need to just remove that gear or emoji. I'm just going to use the word emoji here. The fact that your AI can't do that just tells me how bad the AI slop is. And I get these every single day. Hi, Dwayne, just interested in doing business with you, connection, and, thought there's a lot of synergy, yada, yada, yada. I was like, what is this? Okay. So this is the frustration. This is my personal frustration. This is the thing that I've been obsessed about trying to figure out. This is the thing that I've been trying to solve. It's like, how do we do this in a way where basically we become human beings, right? I don't know about you, but I believe in humanity. Humanity, turns out, is a really valuable thing. So if we have AI talking to AI, then where's the humanity? So I believe, this is my personal belief, again, we'll hear a lot of those personal beliefs, is that human to human connection really matters. It just does. So the question is there a way that we can build a system where we can communicate and reach out to people and, interact with them as a human being, not as an AI slop, but as a human being, like a real actual connection. This is the real sort of like mission. So the question here is not AI or not AI. The question is, can we do AI better? Can we empower the human to do the connection and have the AI do every single thing else in the background? So in other words, who should we contact? What should we say? When should we call, right? What's the next step? Those are the questions that we want to answer. And that's the thing that I've been obsessed about pushing. And that's the thing that I'm trying to drive. And that's basically what has brought me to the point where we are today, which is LeadScore. Okay. So LeadScore is a platform. And I say this in the broadest sense of term. It's a platform that is focused on one thing. Number one is bringing back the human into the conversation. Not AI slop, not a bunch of random generic messages. So what does that mean? That means that if you're going to send out an email, it must feel like a human being. It means that the human has to have spent some time on the company and done the research and the homework to truly understand who they're selling to, not spray and pray a whole bunch of emails out into the abyss and hope that somebody reads your AI slop and get back to you. But it also means that if you're going to try to do that at scale, you need some mechanism to figure out who the human should talk to and who the AI should talk to. We're going to use AI for a second here, okay? So the goal of LeadScore is basically build a platform and empower you, the salesperson, the business owner, to essentially focus on the human part, the things that human beings are really good at. The nuances, the language, the connection, the interaction, right? Looking at you and shaking your hand and looking at you in the face. Okay? So that's basically what the mission is. But at the same time, pass all of that information, all of the background job, all of the things that's hard or manual or tedious that has to be done to the AI so it can empower the human. So that's goal number one. The second thing is that I believe that the future is voice, period. Okay, and I'll explain what I mean by that, but just the future is voice. In other words, you talk to the computer, for my non-technical people in the room, okay? Talk to the computer. That's the future. So AI, I'm kind of using it as a noun here, but the AI has gotten so good that the speech conversation that you can have with an AI, like so close to human level, so close. I will say that like 98% there already. In fact, some of the tests that I've done with LeadScore AI and doing outreach calls using our AI system to make calls on behalf of a couple of tests that we've done is just doing some cold call tests. And some of them is like for inbound, having people call in and try to see if they could detect whether it's an AI or not. Most of the time they can't. Sometimes you'll see the AI mess up a little bit and then they'll be like, oh, this is fake. This is a fake call. Now, I want to be clear with this. I'm not telling you that we're suggesting that you take your business and manage it with AI calling, right? There's a few businesses that does make sense. For example, appointment reminders, dentist offices, that kind of stuff. So if you're in that sector, we could have that conversation. What I'm really having a broader conversation about is just the capability in which AI and the voice nuance has gotten so good that it's almost indetectable from a human being. And we'll talk about that in a bit. So those are some of the things. Now, there's another part to this conversation that's very important, which is a trending topic that is also becoming very popular, which is research and computer use. I'll give you a couple examples of this. Literally yesterday, while preparing for this demo, my kid was home, so he wanted to go to the park. I'm like, sure, I'll take some time off, go to the park with you. So I did. While I was at the park, I picked up my phone and I sent a message and I said, hey, can you go to my LeadScore AI platform, open up the demo account, can you enter 20,000 leads into the platform? And when you're finished with that, if you can also fill out a bunch of use cases so that we could do a demo and make sure that it looks like believable data in the system. And the reason why I did that is because we only had about 3,000 leads in the demo system, and we wanted to add a little bit more. In about less than 5 minutes, I got a text back. My virtual assistant was able to open up my app, fill out the form, enter 20,000 records, came back to me and it says, I'm finished. Most people don't even know that this capability exists, okay? They don't even have a clue. And so what we've essentially done is build in to LeadScore a platform that allows you to have computer use and essentially give the application its own computer on your behalf so we could do things. We'll talk about how we're doing that and stuff like that in the later half of this call when we get to Q&A. If you guys have questions, do drop them in the chat. There's somebody that's in the chat. We got people that are watching in the chat, and I will pay attention to the questions, and we're going to pull those out at the end, and then you guys can ask your questions, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. But if you do have questions, do put them in the chat. So LeadScore is, this is a very complicated site, but I'll break it down. It's a platform that allows you to do full computer use on the back end, okay? Communicate with the AI via voice. I'll give you some examples of that as well too. Do research on your behalf. So in other words, you're trying to communicate with a new company, trying to figure out what this company is about, who you should talk to, etc. Pass it off to LeadScore, let it go do its thing in the background. And just to be clear, the definition of research means that it literally opens up a browser, goes to that company's website, does the research, pulls the information down, finds the details, pull in whatever information it needs, tries to find a contact, goes to the LinkedIn, put like all the details, and then bring it back to you in one centralized interface where you don't even have to think about that details. In fact, from your perspective, the system just did it. Okay, and then scoring, which I mentioned before, which is this concept of basically just prioritizing the leads that are relevant to you, the leads that are important to you, and the leads that make sense. Okay, the goal here is that it's all powered via voice. Voice is super important to this conversation because we believe that voice is the future, and so we're pushing hard on that front to make sure that it just feels natural to interact with our system via voice. So now there's a lot of tools on the market. So I just want to talk about those very quickly within this context, because I know a lot of you that are going to be watching this will be thinking, well, here we go again, another platform that's promising AI. We have a very broad mission and goal with LeadScore, and that is that if you have an existing platform, it integrates with us seamlessly. If you are on a CRM system like HubSpot or whatever, we'll pull and push the data into your platform. If you have an existing call-in system that you're using, we can pull and push the data from that. So in other words, we'll take the data from your system, pull it into ours, do analysis on it, do research on the leads and each thing, bring it to your forefront for your salesperson so they could make better informed decision, and then they could do the human part, okay? And then push that back into whatever third-party system that it is that you're using. But should you sort of like focus on LeadScore and have that as your primary platform, then all these capabilities are just abstracted away. Underneath the scenes, we're using different providers from different companies, but the point is that it's one platform. You don't have to think about any of those details. So fast forward, let's jump a little bit more into specifics. Hopefully that's giving you some clue as to what the system is and what our mission is, what our goal is at a high level. So in order for you to pull off this process where a system can basically do real personalized human outreach, real personalized human messaging, the system has to know a lot about the business. Let me explain for my non-technical people here. My technical people will understand what I mean, but this is a sales call, so I need to explain it to salespeople. The way how ChatGPT and Claude and all of these different tools work is you obviously type a message in, and it has enough context in the background that, because it literally scraped the entire internet, so it's seen this type of knowledge question or challenge or email or whatever it is that you write in, and so it knows how to pull that context and give you something hopefully useful. And many of you have done this before. So it's the reason why you could copy a basic email and say, hey, can you clean this up? And it knows how to rewrite it because it's seen literally 100 million of these emails before, and it knows what good looks like. And so it can give you a better version of it. Okay. The problem with using ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or you name any of the platforms, Gemini, is that they don't know your business. Okay. And so as a result of them not knowing your business, they can't really hyper tailor the information to your business. Now, there are some efforts on this journey to try and make that a little bit seamless. But the reality is that because they don't know your business, they can't give you hyper personalized sort of messaging. To solve that problem, we need to know a lot about your business. And the way how we do that is we literally, in the background, we pull in your ICP, we pull in your products. If you're a real estate person or a real estate agent and you have an existing database system, we'll pull that in. So when you're doing your outreach to your prospect lead and you associate that particular lead or prospect with a product or service or listing, real estate listing in this case, we have enough context about you and your business. We have enough context about the history of that lead, and we have enough context about the communication that happened in the past so that we can literally give you a hyper relevant message to the end user. So if you say something like, hey, can you draft an email for this particular customer, we have enough information about you, the product, and the service so that we can do that properly at scale. Okay, that's what I mean by the system knows you. Okay, the real question is who's going to fill this out, right? We have an entire voice system where we have on the onboarding process where we can ask you questions and you basically just walk through those questions and we fill it out for you. So you're not manually filling this out, okay? Now, if you do have information and context, brochures, flyers, all that kind of stuff, you could just upload it into the system and we'll just take care of it. But the point is that the system knows who you are based on that ICP, and what it does from that particular point is because it knows who you are, because it has all that context, it can send hyper-personalized email. Okay, so let me give you a real example. So again, I have all this ICP information inside of here of a fictitious company. This is a demo company. Okay, I'm in my lead, and I want to reach out to let's go with Taylor. Okay, I want to reach out to Taylor. If I click on email, okay, I could choose a basic template or something like that for an email, but I could also write an email. So I could say something like, hey, can you write this email to Taylor? She's interested in our product. We want to set up a meeting for next week. And once we have that meeting, if you could do a follow-up with her in the next couple of weeks. Okay. So with that, the AI basically will kind of just take that information. It knows the context. It knows who you are. It knows the history of this customer. It knows the communications that you had in the past, and it knows the products that you associated with this particular customer. It knows this. Okay. So that dictation that I just did in a very random sort of fashion, it was able to take my dictation, send it over to the AI, pair it with the background information, the context, the company, the entire thing, and bring it back to you into a structured email so that then you could then review it, clean it up, move forward from there. So that's just an example of what I mean by the system knows you. Okay. Now, in the same way, if I was on, let's say I was doing sort of a general note, for example, so I'm doing, say, let's say I did a follow-up call with them, I could say something like, I had a conversation with the client. They're definitely interested. They want to move forward, but there's a little bit of hesitancy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send them some information. I might just put them in my LeadScore and pipeline. Okay. So I do that as an example. Same thing happens. The AI understands the context that we're in the notes for this particular customer. If there's email history, all that type of stuff, it knows that context. And so it just cleans up the rewrite based on that fact that it's right hyper personalized to this particular customer. The other thing that we believe that should be just a no-brainer with AI, okay? I want you guys to humor me for a bit with this use case, okay? You've been to a networking event. You've had a great conversation with somebody. You talked to them. You had a chat. And they give you a business card. And you say, hey, yes, okay, no problem. I'm going to follow up with you next week or whatever it is. And so you go back to your desk. Maybe the weekend passed. You put it on your desk. You get busy. 2 weeks pass by, you're supposed to follow up with this person, you didn't, you lost the lead, you lost the momentum on that lead, etc. Right? Like this is a real use case. If you've ever done this before as a salesperson, then you understand what I mean. If you've ever had to follow up with somebody and think, some of you are better with following up than others, right? But I know for sure, listen, you cannot depend on me to follow up with you. Okay, I'm just really, really terrible at this game. So if you've ever done that, this is just a real use case that we've encountered time and time again as salespeople. And so one of the use cases that we've kind of built the platform around was, what if you could just snap a picture of a business card, okay? What if you could just snap a picture of a business card and literally say to the AI, can you go do some research on this particular lead? I had a conversation with them about a project they were interested in doing with us. I think that our product A, product B might be a fit for them, but I need some more context and I need some more information about the company in order to figure out what would be the right approach. Based on our conversation that we had 5 minutes ago, he's interested in XYZ. Can you go do the research and then draft an email for me, put it in my inbox so that I can decide how to proceed next? That's a use case that can be covered today, okay? And as a result, if you've never had this problem, then it's like, wow, why would I want to do that? But if you've had this problem, the fact that the AI is able to take a business card, translate it into an image, extract the information that's been around forever, understand the intent of the conversation in relation to the business and the context and your goal as a salesperson, kick off a background job that could then open up a browser, browse to that website, go do some research, go check it, like go through their LinkedIn, understand a full, like that's the definition of a personal assistant. Okay. So there's been a lot of talk about agents and AI and how things work. What we're trying to do is build an actual personal assistant, a junior personal assistant, where any single thing that you can do as a human on a computer, our system can handle. That's the mission and that's the goal here. Okay. So this is the mobile app. Okay. You can click on a business card, scan a business card. This is just basically a demo to just show you, right? It'll pull in the details, standard stuff. And then you could basically, from that particular point, pull that information and, obviously it's a background job, so it takes a little time, right? But the point is that whenever that job comes back, whenever that work, that process, whatever it is comes back, it will show up here as a task for you so that you can basically go into that task and be able to have that conversation with the AI assistant. And then you'll be able to essentially review your work. So where does that come in? If you go into our communication system, you can come into, there's email and there's draft, right? So you can come in here and you could see all of the email communication, all of the draft, all of the details of any interaction that happened previously or that the AI did for you. That's one. You'll be able to see it in here in this section, the communication section. And then the other part is on the research section. There's an entire research tab where as you give the AI work to do, the AI will go out and do that research, pull in the details relation to the company, the contacts, the online activity, etc. Okay, this is a demo system, so it doesn't have a lot of real data inside. But the point is, the system will do that on your behalf on the background. And it just sits there, then you could just continue, figure out what else you want to do with it, move it to the next step, whether you want to put them in your pipeline, add them to a call list, etc., send them an email, etc. So that's kind of like the workflow. If you're on the mobile, the goal is to be able to just have a general conversation on the mobile with your agent, your assistant, and then it can basically kind of do that action accordingly. Now, the other thing is calling. Okay. So one of the biggest problems that salespeople have altogether, it's just really just prioritizing the leads altogether, trying to figure out what leads they need to call next. Who is priority for me? Okay. When should I call them? Like, what should I say to them? Okay. So LeadScore has an entire system built around the concept of just pulling information. So by the way, we integrate with all the lead source providers, so it doesn't really matter what type of provider. We can pull the data in, enrich it, all that type of stuff. I'm kind of talking more at the high level. And then score the leads. Now you're seeing every single thing here is minus 20, and that's because the system, these are all fake data. So the system's like, these are no good leads and fake email addresses. So the system will basically do the scoring and constantly keep ranking those leads for you. How is the scoring perform? It's based on, one, your lead scoring criteria, the things that you determine as your core values, your pitch, whatever it is, the thing that you're selling. There's a whole scoring system that basically focuses on just inputting the data around your company. Okay. And then from there, you can tweak it to your heart's content. But the point is that the systems consistently keep surfacing leads or score. The difference is that once you input your brochures, your flyers, all of the information about your company, then we just do that for you. We come up with the system, the algorithms, every single thing to make that happen for you. With other systems, HubSpot, you have to kind of go in and kind of craft all of this. If this, then that, and if they have this, right? We're taking care of that for you. Okay. So with that, I can now click on, I want call these guys, right? I can speed dial these. By the way, I could also say I want to add to research. So let's pretend that these lists, for whatever reason, these leads came in from a list or come from some other source. We could just add them to research, and the system will just kind of start doing that research in the background. You could always come to the research tab and see where you are with that process and follow up from there. Okay. In this particular case, I got, let's call it, a few leads that I want to add to my call-in list. I could come over now to my speed dial tab. And once I come over to my speed dial tab, I have the list of companies that I said I wanted to call, but I also have a list of companies that the AI or LeadScore assistant recommends that you call. So those will show up in this list here. Now, as you're kind of clicking through, going next, right, to whatever company that you have to call here, what we actually do is we go out, find a website for that company, load the website here, gives you the phone number details, decide whether this company is on a no-call list, all that type of stuff in the background. And then we give you the call intelligence, the data, so that you have some idea about who this company is, whether they're not on the do not call list and all that type of stuff, and that you're obviously in compliant with the rules and the laws and the regulations for that particular state. The system recognizes, okay, this is a Vancouver number. So in the call-in system, it will route it to a local phone number, and then it'll map that phone number to this particular client. So that every time you call out, it's calling with that number in mind. For the salespeople, you have a whole entire system that allows you to see your call script and be able to read your call script, whether it's for diagnosing the initial pitch, or if you get the gatekeeper, what should you say, objections, all that kind of stuff. The real salespeople in the house understands the idea about making sure that you're consistent with your messaging, etc. You have every single thing in one place. Okay, so you could keep just browsing through different leads and finding the calls, and as you make calls to them, then once you make an actual call to the checkbox kind of goes off, and that will allow you to keep track of it, and then it kind of moves away from people that you called today, called yesterday, kind of filters out, goes into other workflows, other inbox. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Once you get off the call, the audio is automatically transcribed for you, but you can also make your own notes. So you could say call in notes. Again, dictation. Again, voice is 100% the mission of the system and the primary goal. So as you see, I'm talking a bunch of gibberish here, but the point is that you can do that. The minute I stop here, AI is going to rewrite this entire thing. It'd be interesting to see what it actually came up with here, right? In the context of this company, of the research data, of this particular history for this particular lead, right? So every single thing is within context. And then, of course, I could come in here and put my own notes, put my documents. There's a full CRM system in here. So, right. By the way, you can also come in here and change we have the ability to change the phone number, etc. So that's it for the speed dial system. Now we're going to move forward. So what are we doing? We're kind of up on the top of the hour, and I want to just highlight a few things here. And hopefully, if we got any questions, I'm going to start. Let me just check to see if we do. Do we have any questions? Because I forgot to pull up my question sheet here. Let me just see here. What I'm showing you today is sort of like a very, very hyper express conversation about this platform. There's lots of moving parts. There's a task system, which I should actually mention. So there's a pipeline board. You got the leads. Sorry, I should mention that. So we got the leads in here. You could just dump a bunch of leads into the platform. Okay, you could just bring in as many leads as you want into the platform. The system will go through, validate them, score them, do all that type of stuff. Once it does the validation and you start doing communication with the leads, it'll automatically move them over to the leads that are marketing qualified, for my salespeople in the house. Deal with all the marketing qualified, it'll automatically move them over to sales qualified, etc. Okay. There's a pipeline board. The pipeline board is for you, the human, but the AI will also move leads on this board whenever it needs to. So as the AI gets tasks that you've assigned to it, it basically runs those in the background, and it will decide how to move those leads accordingly to make sure that you have, who's warm, it'll move those over, who's qualified, etc., interested or schedule call, etc. Every single thing is configurable, so you could come in here and change all the metrics, etc. The point is that we have a sort of an opinionated opinion about sort of the process, the sales tool itself, and then from there you can kind of take over. So let's say that you actually assign the task to the AI, right? Whether it's by the mobile app or from the desktop, you could come in here and you could see all the tasks. The task will be marked, whether it's an AI task or it's a human task. You could always take over a human task, and you can always assign a task to AI. Okay, it's just a regular standard task board. There's nothing fancy about it on the surface. The only difference is you get to assign it to a particular AI. And so as a result of that, that work can be done in the background, and then the AI will update the task accordingly. All right. Natural language, natural text. So for example, you could say, can you draft me a proposal for this particular client? They're interested based on the product that we've already assigned to them in the lead list. So if you could basically put together a rough draft for me, put it in the draft inbox, that would be great. Okay. That's the level of interaction with the AI system. Again, we rewrite every single thing for you because we're constantly doing the AI check. But the point is that from there, you can basically add that, assign it to the AI, and then that kicks off a background job that you could then see. So that's sort of like the core. We're up on the hour, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time and make sure that you understand sort of like, hopefully you've gotten some value in terms of like what this system is, what it's about, why we created it, why we launched it, and what is our focus, what is our goal. So with that in mind, what are we trying to do? So we're launching this. We've actually have recently been doing some beta testing, make sure that things are kind of stable. We're not launching to the public today. Okay. We're looking for select few people, individuals that are interested in using sort of a cutting edge application that's built from the ground up with AI in mind. Okay. What we're doing is with that interest of trying to transform your business to the next level by bringing back the human, empowering the human to make the connections. That's goal number one. We just got approved for our LinkedIn tab from the Google Chrome Play Store. So we have an extension that will allow you to do outreach, etc. Let's just pick a random person here. The system will do a bunch of analysis on that particular lead and try to make a recommendation based on my company. Oops, sorry, should have gone. Based on my company, whether this person is a good fit for me or not. It'll give me an ICP score. It'll give me a buyer's intent score. It'll come up with a suggestion of what should be. Computer, stop. Computer, stop. Sorry.
Here is your reminder. Bubble store.
And then from here, you can add this lead to your research. So you could just send it over to your research. You could save it and add it to your research system so that it just comes back here and you can just do the research on that particular prospect. So in other words, the AI will make recommendations on who you should be reaching out to, but you can also go do your own research and then send that back into the system. So the system could do further research and then put it back into your communications channel, into your preferred list section, so that you can then go see all the people that you've done research on and what was the conversation, what was the history, what was the engagement, etc. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to close things off now. We're at the top of the hour. So what are we doing? So what are we looking for? We're looking for individuals, companies that is trying to figure out how to scale their outbound and basically build a platform for the next generation of sales. And that means you're doing a full assessment of your existing platform as it is right now, what's working, what's not working. We're going to come into your company, we're going to sit down with you, we're going to figure out what are the things that make sense, what are the things that don't make sense. And then from there, we'll make recommendations on where automation makes sense with AI, where it does not, where LeadScore AI might make sense for your organization or not, and do a custom implementation with our platform. Okay, so that's basically what we're looking for. That's what we're launching today. Coming soon, there's going to be a self-serve. So if you're not in this crowd where you're looking for highly customized, tailored consultation and initial assessment, there's going to be a self-serve solution where simple, let's call it businesses, if you're a one-man show, solo founder, that kind of stuff, you could sign up. If you get 3 or 4 or 5 salespeople, you could sign up also, and then you could go from there. If you guys have questions about what is it that you get on this sort of $3,500, then you can reach out to me and we can go from there. Okay. But the goal is to find the businesses that want to basically push things to the next level. So essentially what we're looking for is founders, small sales team, agencies, operators, anybody that's sort of in that space where you're seeing the cracks in your current operation, your current process, and it's just not working, or you know that it's better, or you're trying to figure out how AI can make things better, and how do you get that to a place where you could be more efficient, then we can come in. If you have an existing CRM system in the market and it's just now working effectively for you, like that's where we shine. All right. So with that, I'm going to close things off. I want to thank you, everybody, for actually showing up. For the people that are watching this at a later date, you can DM me if you got questions on LinkedIn. I will be live on LinkedIn every single week, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. That's my new time. So Wednesdays at 2 p.m. If you haven't already, please follow our LeadScore AI page, where you could get more details about LeadScore and all the stuff that we're doing there. And if you have any questions about us, who we are, what we're doing, then do DM me and we'll send you to a lead assessment page. Just to close things off, that link will be here. Like I said, it's a full assessment. So what we're doing is basically we're going to evaluate what you're doing with AI today. How is AI working for you? What are the things that AI can solve for you? Where there might be some challenges, etc. And then we'll do a full assessment. Once we figure that out, then we figure out how to move forward from there. That $3,500, by the way, is sort of an initial launch offer that we're making. So we're not going to be keeping this up for a long time. And then also that implementation credit is going to go, assessment costs is going to go towards your implementation costs. And like I said, in a coming week's time, we're going to be launching out to the general public where you could just go and just sign up and thing, right? The reason why we're doing this is because we're looking for companies that really fit the bill, that have these unique sort of use cases, so we can make sure there's a brand new product. So we want to make sure that we have all those sort of edge cases worked out. And we're a small team, so we want to make sure that we're truly given bespoke level of service, right? So, all right. So that's been my general presentation. I'm going to double check one more time just to make sure there's no questions before we kind of close things off. But if there hasn't been any question, I'm going to wrap things up right now. So I don't see any questions here. And for my technical people in the house, if you want to know more about the implementation, the details, what's going on in the background, how the system works, how it's scaling, that kind of stuff, any single thing around Cloudflare, a lot of this platform is sitting on Cloudflare. But for those people that have those type of questions, we can have a conversation with that offline. So with that, thank you for your time. I appreciate all of you that's showing up. And then, like I said, we will be here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Not only sharing things about LeadScore, but also just talking about AI and sales and trying to give real world actual use case tips and value for people that just need help with AI. Okay, that's a free stuff that we're going to be doing every single Wednesday. Thank you for your time. Have yourself a wonderful day. And I'll see you in another live. Okay, bye.